Rachel never had any problems renting her home on Airbnb. Then a thief checked in and took half her stuff. He even stole her identity. By the time Rachel realised what was going on, her guest had done a runner.
I felt this was happening to someone else. This couldn't be real. I've been violated, I've been offended, invaded.
And what they're doing there is, almost taking a holiday while they conduct their break and enter.
With barely any bookings coming in since COVID restrictions began, most Airbnb hosts are desperate for whatever business they can get. But that can include heartless criminals plotting to take everything.
This was only my second booking in 6 months, and I was so glad to receive it.
Rachel is an Airbnb superhost with close to a 5-star rating for her inner-city 2-bedroom townhouse. These pictures show how it looked before she welcomed a guest who would turn her life upside down. He didn't have a profile picture. That didn't concern Rachel, who was trusting Airbnb's identification protocols, which have changed during the pandemic.
Remember, Airbnb is meant to verify all Airbnb users with 3 forms of government ID. So even though there was no photo, I had to assume that he'd been verified by Airbnb and it wasn't mandatory to have a photo anymore.
The property is Rachel's own home. She only rents it out on Airbnb when she has house-sitting gigs to earn some extra income. After doing it for 5 years without a single incident, she'd let her guard down, leaving more and more of her own possessions there while it was booked.
I'm so trusting. I'm a trustworthy person. I wouldn't take things from other people, and I didn't expect anyone would take anything from me.
But her latest guest had no morals at all, completing a burglary over the course of a 5-day booking, even texting the owner along the way.
Next morning I SMS'd him, how did you go, how did you sleep? He said, everything's great, thank you. And I'm thinking, yep, sure he would have said everything. Sure, everything's great. I'm living in a beautiful home full of an owner's possessions and I've got free reign to it all.
Rachel had no idea there was a problem until after checkout, arriving home to find her home ransacked.
So the first thing I looked at was here, where my 55-inch smart TV was and was no longer there. And then I looked around and all drawers and contents were upside down on the floor.
The place had been turned upside down. Anything of any value stolen, even the roof cavity searched.
What did you think when you saw what had happened to your home?
I felt like I was in a dream. I felt this was happening to someone else. This couldn't be real, you know? I kind of looked around in this dazed state. Everywhere I looked, I'd see things missing.
It took her weeks to compile a full list of what was taken. All up, 170 items worth almost $18,000. But that was only the start of her troubles.
So I checked my phone and I see an email from eBay. Congratulations on your purchase of a Nissan Patrol, blah, blah, $5,500.
The thief had stolen an old laptop computer, accessing other platforms she uses to make purchases in Rachel's name, even failing to return a motor vehicle from Car Next Door.
And he's got my driver's license number and he's got my probably scanned copy of my passport. Everything was on that old laptop.
When I get rid of my old computers, I actually take the hard drive out and physically destroy it.
Terry Goldsworthy is a criminologist at Bond University. He says old laptops can be a gold mine for thieves who are adapting from traditional break and enters, with more people being home due to COVID restrictions.
The criminals have started to move in line with the changing times, and what they're doing there is almost taking a holiday while they conduct their break and enter.
A Queensland Police forensics team discovered fingerprints and DNA samples at Rachel's Brisbane townhouse, allowing them to narrow down their target.
So they believe he is doing this from place to place. Identity theft from one place, using that to book the next place. Meanwhile, he then sells all the stuff and that's how he makes his living. No fixed address.
Rachel's nightmare continues, with a new credit card arriving in her mailbox that she hadn't ordered. Luckily, she was aware of this possibility and changed the locks on her mailbox along with the rest of her property.
He is not an amateur. He knows exactly what he's doing. I believe he's a sociopath. He has no conscience whatsoever. Doesn't give a darn about how the victim will feel coming home to devastation.
There's been circumstances where people's identity has been stolen and misused, and it's taken years for them to actually stop that identity being misused.
Rachel is still waiting to hear from Airbnb about her claim for damages, but believes all online platforms need to do more to protect the community.
I opened up my home and my heart to this vile person who indiscriminately chose to destroy potentially the rest of my life. I've still got no idea how long the ramifications will go on.
Airbnb says it has zero tolerance for illegal activity and has, of course, removed the offender from the platform. It also stands ready to support Rachel through its host guarantee program, which should cover all the property damage. The full statement is on our website.